What if I told you that the wrong person can destroy your energy, steal your inner peace, and distance you from what Allah wants for you? But that there is a clear sign that only a good heart manifests. A sign you can't ignore. Because Allah always places the right person in your path, but never by chance. Stay attentive, because in the next few minutes, you'll understand exactly how to recognize them, and why you need to open your eyes now.
There comes a time in your life when you stop chasing people. You stop reaching out to those who won't take them. You stop giving your heart to those who don't know how to protect it. And you realize that sometimes it's Allah Himself who takes you out of the hands of the wrong person, even if you thought they were the right one. But the real question is, how do you recognize when Allah truly places the right person in your path? Not the one your ego wants, not the one your desire imagines, but the one who is a sign, a support, a mercy sent to help you draw closer to Him. Listen carefully. The right person isn't recognized by grand promises or fine words. Number. They are recognized in the small details, the ones no one sees except your own soul. Because Allah never sends someone into your life by chance. Every presence is a test, a reminder, or a hidden blessing. The wrong person drains your energy, but the right person, they bring you back to Allah. Not by giving you long sermons, but simply by their behavior, by the peace they radiate, by that strange feeling that their very existence brings you back to your Creator. Do you know why? Because Allah puts a sakina, a tranquility, in hearts that are sincere. And you feel this sakina without anyone explaining it to you. Think of those times when you were broken. Everything seemed against you. No one understood your pain, not even those who said they loved you. And suddenly, there's this person who didn't do anything out of the ordinary. But they just listened to you. They didn't judge your weaknesses. They didn't laugh at your scars. They stayed. Just staying, when everyone else leaves, is already a sign from Allah. Because the right person is the one who tolerates your silence, who doesn't run away when you have nothing left to give, who doesn't try to take advantage of your smile, but who also wipes away your tears. Do you think this is a coincidence? Number. Allah knows exactly when you need this kind of support, and He sends it at the precise moment your heart was about to break for good. But there's something few people understand. It's not always the person you imagined. Often, Allah takes you away from what you think you want, to offer you what your soul truly needs. And this is where many go wrong. They ask themselves, why is this relationship falling apart? Why did he or she leave? But in reality, it was a protection. Because Allah doesn't leave your heart in the hands of someone who could have destroyed it even more. So observe, the right person is not recognized by the intensity of the emotion, but by the consistency of the effort. She doesn't flood you with promises at first, only to disappear later. She's there, discreet but present. Not to fill a void, but to help you transform that void into light. And there's another powerful sign. The right person prays for you, even in secret. She doesn't try to show you that she's pious. She doesn't boast about her support. But you feel, deep down, that her attachment to you is pure, because it's attached to Allah first. And that's what makes all the difference. When a person loves you for Allah, their love doesn't become a prison, but a liberation. Think carefully. How many people say they love you, but disappear at the first obstacle? How many surround you, but only when you are strong and luminous? And how many of them agree to stay when your soul is dark and tired? You see, it's in moments like these that you recognize who is truly sent by Allah. Because the right person isn't there for what you represent, but for what you are in Allah's eyes. A servant on the path to Him. And you, perhaps you're looking around you right now. And you don't understand why you've lost certain relationships. Perhaps you think you're alone. But listen carefully. If Allah has removed someone from your life, it's because He's preparing a better, more sincere presence, more aligned with your soul. The right person always arrives after patience, after hardship, after waiting. And when they arrive, you know it's no coincidence, because everything about them draws you closer to Allah, even unconsciously. And then a burning question arises. When Allah sends you this person, will you be able to recognize them? Imagine a heavy night. You're alone, in the dark, and your heart weighs like a stone. You don't even have the strength to speak anymore. You look at your phone, close your eyes, and sigh. You don't expect anything from anyone because you already know. No one really understands what you're carrying inside. Everything seems to betray you. Your plans, your relationships, even your own strength. You're tired of smiling at others when your soul is bleeding in silence. You've already tried to explain your pain, but each time you're answered with empty words, or worse, with a silence that hurts even more. So you keep quiet. You hide your tears. You pretend you're okay. And it's there. At that precise moment when your heart was about to sink even deeper, that Allah sends a sign. Not a spectacular sign, not a light coming down from the sky, just a tiny gesture. An unexpected message. A "how are you?" sent for no apparent reason. A voice on the phone that simply says, "I've been thinking of you." And you feel warmth return to your heart, because you realize that, even if everyone has forgotten you, Allah never forgets you. And sometimes, He shows you this through someone you wouldn't have even imagined. This person didn't change your life in the blink of an eye. They didn't solve your problems. But their gesture awakened something in you that you thought was dead. Hope. And this simple hope is enough to keep you going, to keep you believing, to keep you looking up to the sky and saying, "Oh Allah, thank you for not letting me down." Understand? This is not a coincidence. Nothing, absolutely nothing, in the life of a believer happens by chance. When someone appears at the exact moment you were about to collapse, it's not because they guessed your condition. It's because Allah breathed into their heart the desire to be there for you. He used that person as an instrument of His mercy. And you know what's even more heartbreaking? Often, that person doesn't even realize the impact they had on you. For them, it was just a small gesture, a fleeting thought. But for you, it was a light in your darkness. It was proof that your Creator never abandoned you, even when you thought you'd lost touch. So ask yourself this question. How many times have you received a subtle sign like that, but didn't recognize it? How many times have you believed it was just a coincidence, when in reality, it was Allah knocking on the door of your heart to say, "I am here, and I have sent you this support to keep you going." And look even deeper. Sometimes, that person isn't the one you expected. You thought this support would come from your loved ones, your closest friends, but it's a stranger, a colleague, or someone you barely know. Why? Because Allah wants you to understand one essential thing. Help doesn't come from people. It comes from Him. People are only means, instruments, vectors of His mercy. You see, that's the subtlety of Allah. He doesn't need to give you an army of supporters. He can place a single person in your life at the right time with the right word. And that word is enough to save your heart from shipwreck. You think it's small, but in Allah's eyes, it's immense. And yet, how often do we miss these signs? How often do we dismiss these small gestures, thinking they have no value? But if you look with the eyes of your heart, you will see that every smile, every word, every presence at the right time is actually proof that your Lord is always attentive to you. Always. And perhaps today, as you listen to these words, You are recalling that message you once received, that hand that reached out when you were on the edge of despair. Perhaps you are only now realizing that it was no coincidence. It was Allah once again reminding you, I am here. So the next time you feel that heaviness in your heart, that you think you are alone, remember, Allah can send help in a form you don't expect. And that person, even if they don't do anything extraordinary in the eyes of the world, can be a powerful sign to you that your Creator is watching over you at every moment. And then, a question arises, almost painful. What if you were crossing paths with this person without even realizing it?
A kind heart. It doesn't make noise. It doesn't seek the spotlight. It doesn't impose itself. It acts in silence, when no one is looking. And yet, it is in this silence that you can feel the most powerful signs of Allah. Because true support, the kind He places on your path, doesn't announce itself with grandiose speeches. It doesn't say to you, look what I've done for you. No, it acts, then fades away. It gives, then disappears. And often you don't realize the value of its gestures until long afterward. Think for a moment. How many people around you have promised you the moon but haven't accompanied you through the storm? How many have said, I'll be there, but at the first sign of weakness, they have moved away? It's easy to speak, but it's rare to stay. And it's precisely in this rarity that you recognize the hand of Allah. Because the right person is the one who, instead of saying, I'm praying for you, actually does it in secret, without you knowing. You don't hear their words, but you feel a sudden peace in your heart, a clarity that wasn't there yesterday. And you understand, deep down, somewhere, someone has asked for me. And Allah has answered that silent prayer. A kind heart is also the one who listens to you when you no longer have the strength to speak. Not with ready-made answers, not with judgments, just with a presence that tells you, you are not alone. Because words aren't always needed to heal a soul. Sometimes, all it takes is a listening ear, a silence filled with compassion, for your heart to regain a little breath. And then, there is that sign that many overlook, the one who protects your honor when you're not there. A good heart is one who refuses to laugh at jokes that sully your name, one who turns a conversation around when it turns into gossip, one who defends your image not because you hear it, but because they know it's right. And you see, that's a sign from Allah. Because protecting the honor of your brother or sister in their absence is a rare act, reserved for those whose sincerity is genuine. So look carefully. When Allah places a sincere person in your life, you don't need to ask them to prove anything. You don't need to test their love or friendship. You simply feel a blessing in their behavior, a gentleness in their manner, a consistency that can't be explained by human emotions alone, but by an inner light. And this light, it is Allah who places it. Because relationships that truly last, those that elevate your soul, aren't built on ego or self-interest. They're built on an invisible bond that transcends this world. When someone loves you for the sake of Allah, supports you for the sake of Allah, prays for you for the sake of Allah, then everything they do bears a trace of blessing. Even their smallest gestures become immense because they come from a pure heart. Think of a scene. You're tired, drained. You don't even have the energy to raise your hands for a long prayer. And somewhere, perhaps across town or even in another part of the world, a person makes dua for you. They sincerely pronounce your name, and Allah accepts their supplication. And you, without even knowing why, feel a sense of relief and ease and opening. You don't see the origin, but you feel the effect. This is the power of the good heart that your Lord sends into your life. And yet,
We tend to seek out grand displays of love, grand gestures, spectacular declarations. But the sign of Allah is hidden in the invisible, in the silent sacrifice, in the outstretched hand when no one is watching, in the patience of the one who remains even when you have nothing left to give. So ask yourself, who around you acts silently for your good, never speaking of it? Who around you remains steadfast when everyone else grows weary? Who around you supports you, not because you have something to offer, but simply because your soul deserves to be preserved? These are the people whom Allah places in your path like a hidden treasure. And if you have ever encountered such a heart, know that you have seen one of the most beautiful signs of Allah's mercy. Because you don't buy a kind heart. You don't force it. It is Allah who places it before you as a reminder that you are never alone. But the real question, the one you must keep with you, is will you be able to recognize this treasure before you lose it? Ask yourself, who around you lifts you up when you're down? Not when things are going well, not when you're smiling and full of strength. Number, when your heart fades, when your faith weakens, when your prayers become mechanical and your soul moves away from its creator. Who is there to catch you before you lose yourself completely? You see, there are many people who know how to laugh with you, go out with you, and tap into your energy. But how many stay when you have nothing left to offer? Who dares to ask the painful but life-saving question? And you, how is your heart with Allah? Ask yourself this question sincerely. Who around you dares to make you look at your soul in a mirror? Most run away because it takes courage. But the right person, the one Allah sends, they don't fear your silence, your flaws, or your doubts. They don't run away when you're broken. She sits with you in your chaos and gently reminds you that you have a Lord who can fix everything. So, look again. Who around you reminds you that your worth doesn't depend on people, nor on their opinions, nor on their judgments? Who around you lifts you up by bringing you back to the one who created you? Because the wrong person, they feed on your insecurity. They take your energy, your time, your love to fill their own emptiness. But the right person, the one Allah chooses for you, sets you free. They don't chain you to themselves. They connect you to Allah. Ask yourself again, who accepts your silence without tiring? Because it's easy to be there when you're funny, when you're joyful, when you shine. But when you become silent, distant, lost, who stays? Who understands that your silence isn't disinterest, but an inner pain that you can't express? Who endures this emptiness? Who accepts your absences? And who continues to pray for you even when you don't know it? You see, this is where it all comes down to. The bad person will take what they can from you, and when you're dry, they'll leave. But the good person, the one Allah has placed for you, continues to give, even when you have nothing left. Because their love or friendship is not conditional on what you offer them. It's a pure intention, committed to Allah, and that's why it never runs out. Ask yourself again, who is it that draws you toward the light when you're slipping into darkness? Not with reproaches, not with humiliations, but with a gentleness that heals, with a reminder that feels good. Who is it that lifts you up without putting you down? Because the true sign of Allah is this: the good person brings you back to Him with love, not harshness. And be honest with yourself. How much longer will you be content to be surrounded by people who take advantage of you without ever nourishing your soul? How many times will you accept being drained, hurt, and broken by relationships that cut you off from your Creator? Isn't it time to recognize the real signs? So close your eyes and think of that person who supported you without expecting anything, who defended you when you weren't there, who reminded you of Allah when you had forgotten Him. Maybe you underestimated them. Maybe you didn't see their value. Maybe you even neglected them. But if they're still there, know that they're a gift Allah has given you. And one day, you might regret not having seen it. And if today you can't find anyone while thinking about these questions, then don't be sad. Because sometimes Allah pushes everyone away from you to teach you an essential truth. Before sending you the right person, He wants you to learn to be with Him alone. And when you understand this, only then will He place someone in your life who will be an extension of His mercy. So I ask you one last time, who around you is truly sent by Allah? And who around you is just an illusion that you continue to entertain?
It's like a gentle rain on dry land. Imagine this burning desert, cracked by the sun, barren for so long. You look at this land and say to yourself, nothing will ever grow here again. You've lost hope. You think it's over. And suddenly, a light rain falls. It's not violent. It's not noisy. It falls silently, almost discreetly. But each drop penetrates deep, nourishes the earth, awakens invisible seeds. And you discover, a few days later, flowers you thought had been dead for years. This is exactly how Allah sends the right person into your life. They don't arrive with peals of thunder, not with spectacular gestures that impress the crowds. They arrive gently, like a mercy that settles silently. And you don't understand it right away. But something inside you begins to revive. Conversely, the bad person is the storm. The sky darkens, thunder rumbles, the wind blows hard. You're impressed, you think, now that's power, now that's grandeur. But when it's all over, you look around you. The trees are uprooted, the roofs destroyed, and the earth even drier than before. That's the difference. The storm is impressive at first, but it leaves chaos behind. The gentle rain doesn't immediately seduce the eye, but it builds, it heals, it restores life. And think, how many times in your life have you chased storms? How many times have you been seduced by what glittered, what made noise, what seemed grand? And how many times have you discovered afterward that you had left your heart in the hands of someone who destroyed it even more? It's painful, but necessary to understand. Because without these experiences, you won't be able to recognize the value of the gentle rain when Allah sends it to you. A kind heart acts like that silent rain. It doesn't try to change your life in a second. It settles. It stays. It waters gently. You don't see the results right away, but over time, you realize that your roots are stronger. Your soul is more stable, and your faith has found new life. And therein lies a secret. Allah doesn't always send the person you wanted. He sends the one your soul needed. Like the earth, which, thirsty, doesn't ask for fireworks, but just a drop of water to keep it from dying. You think you know what your heart needs, but only Allah truly knows the cracks in your soul. And that's why, sometimes, He pushes away the storm you found beautiful, to offer you the gentle rain you hadn't noticed. You must open your eyes. The storm makes noise, attracts attention, but destroys your foundations. No one applauds the gentle rain, but it saves you. And this is exactly how you must recognize the signs of Allah in your relationships. Observe. Does this person make a big noise about their love, their friendship, but disappear when trials arise? That's the storm. Does this person act discreetly, without trying to show off? Yet you feel that after them, your heart is stronger, more peaceful, closer to Allah. That's the gentle rain. The beauty of Allah is that He often shows you these signs in moments when you feel sterile, dry, empty. When you believe that nothing good can come from your story, your past, your heart.
And that's precisely when the right person arrives, not to fill your gaps, but to awaken what Allah had already planted within you. Because rain doesn't create seeds, it only nourishes them. In the same way, the right person doesn't create a new soul for you. They only awaken what Allah had already planted within you from the beginning. And perhaps you're listening to these words, and your soul recognizes itself. Perhaps you remember someone who didn't make grand gestures, but whose presence changed the way you saw life. Perhaps you're only now understanding that it was a subtle sign, that it was that gentle rain sent just when you were about to wither. But be careful. Gentle rain, if you don't recognize it, you can lose it. Because it doesn't make noise, it doesn't attract your ego, it doesn't flatter your pride. You must be attentive. You must look with the eyes of your heart. And that's where your destiny is decided. Will you continue to chase the storms that destroy, or will you welcome the silent rain that nourishes? And the question you must keep suspended in your soul is this. The next time Allah sends this gentle rain into your life, will you be able to recognize it? Ask yourself, who around you lifts you up when you're down? Not when things are going well, not when you're smiling and full of strength. Number, when your heart fades, when your faith weakens, when your prayers become mechanical and your soul moves away from its creator. Who is there to catch you before you lose yourself completely? You see, there are many people who know how to laugh with you, go out with you, and tap into your energy. But how many stay when you have nothing left to offer? Who dares to ask the painful but life-saving question? And you, how's your heart with Allah? Ask yourself this question sincerely. Who around you dares to make you look at your soul in a mirror? I must run away because it takes courage. But the right person, the one Allah sends, they don't fear your silence, your flaws, or your doubts. They don't run away when you're broken. She sits with you, in your chaos, and gently reminds you that you have a Lord who can fix everything. So look again. Who around you reminds you that your worth doesn't depend on people, nor on their opinions, nor on their judgments. Who around you lifts you up by bringing you back to the one who created you. Because the wrong person, they feed on your insecurity. They take your energy, your time, your love to fill their own emptiness. But the right person, the one Allah chooses for you, sets you free. They don't chain you to themselves. They connect you to Allah. Ask yourself again, who accepts your silence without tiring? Because it's easy to be there when you're funny, when you're joyful, when you shine. But when you become silent, distant, lost, who stays? Who understands that your silence isn't disinterest but an inner pain that you can't express? Who endures this emptiness? Who accepts your absences and who continues to pray for you even when you don't know it? You see, this is where it all comes down to. The bad person will take what they can from you, and when you're dry, they'll leave. But the good person, the one Allah has placed for you, continues to give, even when you have nothing left. Because their love or friendship is not conditional on what you offer them. It's a pure intention, committed to Allah, and that's why it never runs out. Ask yourself again, who is it that draws you toward the light when you're slipping into darkness? Not with reproaches, not with humiliations, but with a gentleness that heals, with a reminder that feels good. Who is it that lifts you up without putting you down? Because the true sign of Allah is this. The good person brings you back to Him with love, not harshness. And be honest with yourself. How much longer will you be content to be surrounded by people who take advantage of you without ever nourishing your soul? How many times will you accept being drained, hurt, and broken by relationships that cut you off from your Creator? Isn't it time to recognize the real signs? So close your eyes and think of that person who supported you without expecting anything, who defended you when you weren't there, who reminded you of Allah when you had forgotten Him. Maybe you underestimated them. Maybe you didn't see their value. Maybe you even neglected them. But if they're still there, know that they're a gift Allah has given you. And one day, you might regret not having seen it. And if today you can't find anyone while thinking about these questions, then don't be sad. Because sometimes Allah pushes everyone away from you to teach you an essential truth. Before sending you the right person, He wants you to learn to be with Him alone. And when you understand this, only then will He place someone in your life who will be an extension of His mercy. So I ask you one last time, who around you is truly sent by Allah? And who around you is just an illusion that you continue to entertain? So now ask yourself, have you ever encountered this person Allah has placed for you? Or are you still missing their signs? If this message resonated with your heart, it may be because He is already trying to open your eyes. Don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs it. Subscribe so you don't miss future reminders, and leave a comment. Have you ever seen these signs in your life? Because sometimes the answer you're looking for can start here.